Well, I guess when you're at war, the markets don't like that. I'm Tara Setmayer in for Mary Trump. This is the Mary Trump Live Show. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. As I said, I'm Tara Setmayer in for Mary. She's traveling, but she will be back. So you get to hang out with me for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so to talk about this crazy Monday because it's a day that ends in Y and Donald Trump is still president. Well, you may have noticed that your gas prices have gone up a little bit or more than a little bit. How about a whole freaking lot? Yes, oil prices have surged over the last few days because we're at war with Iran and global markets don't like that. Today, the volatility of the market was insane. I woke up to the $100 plus barrel of oil. And then as the day went on, it shot up to $120 per barrel of oil. And then it dropped down to $86 a barrel for oil because there's been a lot of maneuvering going on because there's instability in the Middle East again because Donald Trump is freaking president. So what has happened? Well, not only did the oil shoot up to $120 and then shoot back down again, and it's all over the place. We also have recession fears starting to creep up again because despite what Donald Trump is telling everyone that now it's just going to be temporary, famous last words. We've been here before, unfortunately, as a country, and the American people don't like it. The polling is awful for Donald Trump. Awful, especially on the Iran issue. People aren't feeling it, but what they are feeling is the price at the gas pump. Well, what has happened? So, after the prices went, all over the place today, um, before that, you had Donald Trump trying to downplay it. You have his energy secretary, his Department of Interior, lackey, Burgum, all everyone's trying to say like, "Oh, it's no big deal, it's no big deal." But no, it's a big deal, guys. And we're not stupid. They seem to think the American people are dumb. We're not dumb. We know this is bad. And we know that we don't want to pay $4 a gallon for oil for gasoline. Where I live in Northern Virginia, gas shot up 50 cents about a gallon in the last 4 days. 50 cents. It was like 2, I don't know, 70 something. It's well over, it's almost 350 now in some places depending, 330, 350. It's crazy. Now, we have not seen crude prices like this shoot up like this since the aftermath of Russia invading Ukraine in 2022. We haven't seen the record number of prices per gallon shoot up like this in 20 plus years since Katrina in 2005. So this is all kinds of bad. And most economists know this. A lot of people in the Trump administration know this too. Susie Wiles last week, it was reported, had a hissy fit, screaming at people to bring us some good news. Well, the bad news just keeps on coming because not only did you have the bad news with the war in Iran last week, and it just keeps getting worse, you also had the bad news with the jobs report, another 92,000 jobs lost under Donald Trump's watch. And then now we have this problem with gas prices shooting up. So it's not a great time. It's not. But what else is going on? Why is this a problem? What is happening? Well, that's because one of the biggest concerns here is what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz. That is a little strait there where 1/5 of the world's oil and energy passes through. So when that's virtually shut down, which is what happens, okay, there's a strain on the supply, right? There's a shortage now. So prices go up. Well, what happened today? What drove the prices up and then down? Well, rumor has it that the Saudis said, "Oh, wait, we're gonna increase some production. We're gonna release some oil here." Okay, so then the prices started to go down a little bit. Not shocking that it's the Saudis. Jared Kushner's best buddies over there, the ones that have invested billions of dollars into his personal investment firm, right? MBS likes to kill journalists and they're not great actors over there. Oh, I think Donald Trump is also building golf courses and resorts in Saudi Arabia. So it's not a shocker that there's something going on over here with the oil and the Saudis and all of that. Always follow the money when we're talking about Donald Trump and his lackeys. Okay. There's always a dollar to be made somewhere. I'm sure we will find out how much money some of Donald Trump's oil executive buddies made today before they, sold off when it went like that. So, I mean, I hate to be skeptical here, but just giving like, no blood for oil, like in the beginning of the 2000s when we were in Iraq. I was on the other side of that issue back then, but forgive me now. We all thought there was different intelligence. But we're back to this again. Mr. No Forever Wars has us back in a war in the Middle East. And so not only is this bad for the stability in the region, but it's bad for our wallets. And like I said a couple minutes ago, now the prediction markets are raising the prospect of us hitting a recession this year. Recessions aren't great. Not a good look, especially when Donald Trump is already underwater when it comes to his handling of the economy, of jobs, his priorities. I mean, it's good for politically for Democrats, but we don't want to root for a recession here because it hurts the American people. It hurts every single one of us. Unfortunately, a lot of people decided to vote for Donald Trump, which got us into this mess. So sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. But none of this is good news. So there's a very interesting article today that came out in the New Republic. And the headline of this article is who benefits from the war in Iran, right? Who benefits from this? Well, I can certainly tell you it's not us. Russia is a big beneficiary of all of this, not shockingly. But if you listen to Lindsey Graham, he tells you otherwise. Listen to Lindsey Graham on Fox News.
When this regime goes down, we're going to have a new Mideast. We're going to make a ton of money. Nobody will threaten the Straits of Hormuz again.
We're going to make a ton of money. I thought is that reason like what, 85 for why we're in Iran and why we've completely upended the Middle East? Is it about oil and war for oil and money? According to Lindsey Graham, it's going to make us a ton of money. Is it? It's costing us almost $1 billion a day right now for what's going on over there. $1 billion a day. That's just for the military operations. That doesn't count the economic impacts. So a ton of money, that's what this is about. Either he didn't get the talking points or he's saying the quiet part out loud. Because the talking points have shifted so many times that do we even know why we're over there? Does Trump even know why we're over there? Can he even find Iran on the map? Where's his Sharpie? More from this New Republic story. Who benefits from the Iran war and the oil prices? It says Russia may be about to get rich off of Donald Trump's illegal war in Iran. The spiraling regional conflict sparked by ongoing attacks from the U.S. and Israel has sent the price of oil skyrocketing to almost $120 a barrel, which we said that. Here's a key. U.S. Treasury Secretary says that the U.S. would issue 30-day waivers to allow Indian refiners to purchase Russian oil that was, quote, already stranded at sea, promising that by doing this, it would not provide significant financial benefit to the Kremlin. Why is this significant? Now, Scott Bessent announced this last week. So they anticipated that this would be a problem, right? Because anytime there's any kind of conflict over there, the Strait of Hormuz is always one of the first things that gets shut down or people get nervous because the oil companies, they don't want to provide insurance on their oil tankers because they're afraid they're going to get, taken out. So they're like, yeah, we're not going to move anything. We're shutting it down. So they anticipated this. So they're going to issue waivers so that Indian refiners can purchase Russian oil. Now, here's the thing. I learned about this. I did not know that there are these like ghost ships of Russian oil tankers that are just kind of hanging out. And There's up to $6.4 billion worth of oil on these Russian oil tankers. Approximately 150 million barrels of Russian oil worth an estimated $6.4 billion, according to the Robert Lansing Institute. I had no idea this was a thing, but apparently it is. They said that India typically imports an average of 10 million metric tons of crude oil a month through the Strait of Hormuz. Clearly, that's not happening now. An energy analyst said, quote, even if half of this volume is replaced with Russian volumes at sea, it will translate to huge profits for the Kremlin. But Lindsey Graham seems to think this is a great deal for us. Is it just me, or does it feel like every single road leads back to Putin? Every road, in some way, shape, or form, it ends back to benefiting Vladimir Putin at the expense of our country, of our allies, of stability in Europe, now the Middle East, South America. Like, what is happening? This is not by accident. It really isn't, because God knows what Donald Trump, what Putin has on Donald Trump. One other thing, Bessent went on Fox News with Larry Kudlow. He said, we may unsanction more Russian oil. So this is their plan to stabilize the market, I guess. That's their answer. Let's enrich Russia further so that then they can turn around and put more money into their war with Ukraine. Remember that? That's still happening. And the irony of that is this conflict with Iran and the fact that it's been reported that folks inside the Pentagon didn't think that Iran would have such a sustained counterattack against us. And now we're running into a shortage of defensive munitions, right? Of missile interceptors and things. And the drone attacks that Iran is inflicting on Israel and our allies on our bases. It's what killed those soldiers in Kuwait. We're running out of weapons. And guess who we're looking to buy some from? Ukraine. Because the Ukrainians have a very effective drone defense program. And so, excuse us. Yeah, sorry, we've been screwing you guys over for the last couple of years. Sorry, we're not helping you finally defeat Russia once and for all. But can we buy some of your defensive drone capabilities? Because we need them. You can't make this stuff up. You really just can't. Now, we also have to remember the context of this and what's happening is also with reports, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit later, that Russia's been helping the Iranians with targeting. They've been helping them with intelligence. So are we now fighting a proxy war with Iran? The Chinese also have vested interests in Iran. They also buy a lot of Iranian oil. This is a mess. It's an absolute mess. And there is nothing good in the long run right now for what we're looking at, the way these idiots are prosecuting this, to come out of this. I'm concerned. Now, I'm not upset that they're taking out the mullahs and the ayatollahs and the horrible, murderous, terrorist regime that has run Iran for the last 47 years. They are the largest state sponsor of terror. They've killed many Americans over the last 47 years. They're awful. But the way this regime is doing it, the way Trump is doing it, these idiots, this isn't the way. This isn't the way. But they're doing everything they can to try to convince you that it is. And it's not. And it's not working out well. And now they're not ruling out boots on the ground in Iran to secure the enriched uranium. And are they? I don't know. You can't trust anything these bastards say. You don't know. But it feels more and more like a quagmire. And I don't know how they're going to reverse course now. It doesn't end there, by the way. There's more Lindsey Graham, because we all like a little Lady Lindsey on a Monday, don't we? He's the worst. This is what Lindsey Graham had to say, because I've got news for you. It's not ending in Iran.
I'm not looking for a fair fight. If we get in a fight, I want to win it. I want to win it quick. I'm in Miami. You see this hat? Free Cuba. Stay
Yep.
tuned. The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just a matter of time now. You see this at? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. We're going to have relationships with new people that will make us prosperous and safe. I've never seen anybody like it. This is Ronald Reagan plus. Donald Trump is resetting the world in a way nobody could have dreamed of a year ago. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
First of all, Lindsay, like, calm down. Calm down. Okay? Daddy's going to give you a pat on the head later. How embarrassing. How embarrassing for Lindsey Graham with the fucking hats and, oh, look at this, like that. What are we doing? What is it, a game show? And over here we have this, and over here we have that. Like, this is like, people are dying. What are we doing? And now okay, Iran is on fire. We Venezuela. Last week, we had some military operations in Ecuador, for fuck's sake. But that got glossed over. And now Cuba. Trump was talking about this when he had the soccer team at the White House on, I think it was Friday. He's going to put Marco down there because this is all Marco Rubio's wet dream, is for the Cuban regime to fall to. And again, these are bad actors. The people of Cuba have been oppressed for decades. It's terrible, but there's a reason why we haven't toppled the regime yet. There's ways to go about doing this. And this haphazard reshaping of the world here is scary. Scary. They released the Trump folks released something about, like, calling it Greater North America, like a new map. It's giving Gilead vibes. It's giving like Pan Am. What are we doing? Kristi Noem's stupid ass is now in charge of some fake envoy, the shield of the Americas. What? You've got like 20-somethings putting out these stupid, immature videos, mashups from the official White House social media feeds, like war is a game. It's sick. This is this is dangerous, despicable stuff. But they play like they act like it's a game. It's not. Very much not a game. Now, Lindsey Graham talking about hats and Fox News. I know you guys saw this dust up over the weekend about Donald Trump wearing a hat to the dignified transfer of the 6 American service members who were killed in this new war now. And a bunch of folks were there in Dover. And this is one of the most solemn ceremonies. It's like this and like Arlington Cemetery funerals. Like, it is such a solemn thing. And most presidents have talked about how heartbreaking standing there while you have flag draped coffins coming in and the families who have lost loved ones. Like, it for people who actually have a soul and who can feel something, that's the normal reaction. And we all know that there are certain protocols, certain signs of respect when we're dealing with the military and people losing their lives. He's the commander in chief. And this motherfucker couldn't take off his MAGA hat. Okay? It says USA on it, but it's one of his merchandise hats that you can buy. Now, Fox freaking News, running cover as they always do, actually ran footage, old video of Trump without a hat. Because let's be honest here, even Fox News knew that that was a bad look. And if you guys remember, Fox News blares 24/7 on most military installations across this country. and possibly overseas. And this has been a problem for years. Vote Vets, actually back in 2023, put out an ad. They went on a real campaign to try to get Fox News removed from military installations because it's such a lying propaganda arm that it's radicalizing men and women in the military. I mean, if you watch Fox for a long period of time and you see the garbage that they put out there, the absolute lies, the conspiracy theories, my God, no wonder. They live in another universe. They live on like Earth 5. Okay. They don't live in reality. They've created a whole new reality. So even Fox News, so that's why they did this. Now they got caught, obviously, because lots of people were like, what the F? What is this? Because why? There was maybe a couple of drizzles in the air. It was pretty humid on Saturday. There was some rain in this part of the country. So what? Do you want to get his freaking flop mop of a hair wet or whatever? So he puts on a hat. Fox apologized. Okay. They're like, "Oh, sorry. We didn't mean it. It was an accident. It was they put out a correction. They're like, "We're so sorry. Like, it was an error. We apologize." Bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit right now. They did it on purpose. I guess they thought no one would notice, or I don't know what. But all they did was bring more attention to it because there's no way. Listen, I've been involved in cable news for 15 years now. Okay. I can tell you right now, even on a weekend, I mean, the weekend crew is usually the B team, right? But still, there are people who get paid a nice amount of money to make sure mistakes like that don't happen. It is very deliberate when they say load up X, Y, and Z, B roll, assets, whatever. There is no way that just was a mistake that just pressed the wrong button. No, 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 and no. Now, some of the reactions from this, I think were pretty good. Mehdi Hassan, who used to work for MSNBC and then started Zateo. Uh, he said that if another network had made the same mistake, that Fox would have treated it as a major scandal and they would have like demanded heads roll. And he's right. Please, they would have been. Do you guys remember? Because I know I was on the other side, like I said, I'm sorry. Do you guys remember when Obama wore the tan suit? Remember when he saluted a Marine? He had a cup of coffee in his hand and he saluted a Marine going on to Marine One. And oh my God. Remember when there was I think a journalist was beheaded or something happened and he went and President Obama was playing golf the next day or something and people were like, oh, how dare he? He doesn't care and blah blah blah. Joe Biden just simply like glanced at his watch. Oh, that's it. How dare he disrespect the troops and this is terrible. Fox News aired a whole wrong segment to try to pass off a fast one on the American people so that the folks on those military bases and all those military people and their families who watched Fox News didn't see how Donald Trump really feels about them. Michael Steele, my good friend, former RNC chairman. Michael Steele doesn't mince words. He's been a never Trumper from day one. He said, "This fool has absolutely no sense of dignity or appreciation for the moment. It's called the dignified transfer for a reason. Take your damn hat off." Exactly. Gavin Newsom, our favorite Democratic frontrunner, maybe, I don't know, for some. But his Twitter game, his social media game is top notch. He said, "Take your hat off, you disgusting little man." Pretty much. No notes. Here's what it looked like. Take a look.
Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary Lady Usha Vance attending a dignified transfer to honor the final homecoming of the 6 U.S. service members killed in Kuwait. The solemn ritual returns the remains of troops killed in action. It is considered one of the most somber duties of a commander-in-chief.
That's what they did. It doesn't, I mean, it's infuriating. It's so infuriating on so many levels. They're just, Captain Bone Spurs, Silver Spoon Draft Dodger, suckers and losers, and Fox is still running cover for him. Now let me talk about this stupid hat, okay? As we all know, Trump is constantly selling merch. I mean, they have a whole freaking gift shop off the side to the side of the Oval Office, where he actually has merch that talks about running for a third term. Yeah, it's gross. But you can buy that hat and it's $55, okay? And guess what? Trump was wearing the same hat the very next day on the golf course in Florida. And if you go to the website, it actually says, quote, currently, the listing says, quote, due to high demand, this hat may take an additional 7 to 10 days to process, then ship. Now, that's if you even get it, because some of his other products where they say, oh, it might take however to get, some people never get them, like the Trump watches that were falling apart and other things. This is like what the Trump Bibles, that was another thing. Oh, it might take a, always a grift, always a grift. But oh my God, Joe Biden is glancing at his watch, or Obama saluting with a latte in his hand. Impeach them. But Donald Trump continues to disrespect our men and women in the military and treat them like they're some kind of, pawns in a video game. Like Pete Hegseth and all the rest of them are running around like they're G.I. Joe, cosplaying. Like, ooh, look at what we're doing. We're dropping bombs. And it's so unacceptable. I just really hope the American people don't become so numb to this that they just go, oh, well, that's just them. It should never be okay. None of this should ever be okay. Our men and women in uniform deserve better. And that bastard has no idea what that sacrifice means or what that's like, because he's too much of a coward and a self-centered, malignant narcissist to ever fully appreciate the honor and bravery and courage that it takes to take that oath and put your life on the line for others and for a cause bigger than yourself, which is why he can so flippantly just send our men and women off to go fight, to make him look good, to distract, in his mind, make him look good, make him feel like a tough guy. Take off your damn hat, you little man. Well, there's more. Jolly news. More of this quagmire, speaking of them misusing American firepower and not doing a very good job. I mean, in some places, our militaries, listen, they're following orders, they're doing what they're supposed to do. We have the most lethal force in the world, but we also make mistakes. And I'm sure by now you've heard about this school in Iran where 175 people were killed. A lot of them were children. And I believe it was a girls' school. Now analysts are saying that the school looks like it was hit by our ordnance, by a missile from us, a Tomahawk, because we were targeting a naval base that was nearby. Now, this is how the government has not come out and said, yeah, it was us. But the tell here is that they haven't come out and definitively said, emphatically, unequivocally said, it wasn't us. Israel did. They said, wasn't us. But the U.S. hasn't. We're still investigating. It's being investigated. That's the tell. Because if it wasn't us and it was definitively not us, they would have said so. And they haven't. So this is very upsetting and very alarming for a lot of reasons too, because this would be the deadliest known civilian casualty event in this whole thing. Yes, there's collateral damage and it's terrible. That's why war is awful. But this is really bad. And all this does is continue to foment the hatred by the extremists over there in Iran against the US. Yes, they've been chanting death to America every Friday during prayers for 47 years, but they're also motivated by these types of things. And, this is not helping the situation. Now, yes, we may have been targeting the Revolutionary Guard Corps over there. Worthy target, right? We want to kill them. But n- it- no one knew. They thought, well, maybe the chances of this blowing back and taking out a school might not be worth it. Come on. Now, Trump and Hegseth were asked about this on Air Force One, and this is what they said.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still
But
investigating?
the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done. We think it was done by Iran
Can you give us an
because
idea?
they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
Okay. So Pete Hegseth directly contradicts Trump. Trump's just lying because that's what he does. Never admit fault, right? Double, triple down. Yes, it's true that the Iranians can use civilians as targets. Same thing with Hamas and Hezbollah. They're notorious for doing that. But if we knew for sure a week into this that it wasn't us, we would have said so. So this just again makes them less trustworthy. Can't believe a word that comes out of them. God bless independent journalists and journalists, at least at some of the legacy media, like the New York Times, are getting the truth out there for now. But like, but what's going to happen? That's the frustrating part about this. And also, like, just the idea that it was kids and girls. I mean, girls and women are so oppressed in those cultures, and it's just like a whole generation of young little girls wiped out because Donald Trump decided to start a war. It's awful. It's hard enough for them over there. As a matter of fact, just an aside, I just saw today that a group of women soccer players, Iranian soccer players, defected in Australia over the weekend. They were down there and playing in a tournament, and that's pretty harrowing because revolutionary guardsmen travel with them because there's always the risk that Iranians will try to defect when they go to like a Western country or a country that's free. And they were able to sneak out of their hotel and defect. Now, I don't know if they have families still in Iran, but the consequences for them, I hope their family got out or their, whatever, but it's very brave of them. And the Iranian men's team is supposed to come to the US for the World Cup this summer. I wonder if that's going to still happen because I suspect that some of them may not be going back. Does anybody watch the morning show? You guys watch the show, the show Morning Show? Oh, it's so good on Apple. There's a plot twist with an Iranian defector in this last season, which is so good. It's so good. Anyway, so that happened in real life. So, it's real life. Bonus or more Russia. As I said earlier, I would come back to this. So Russia is now helping, reportedly, the Iranians with targeting. Now, I don't know how closely folks are following all of this because, again, it's just a fire hose of fuckery all the time. That it's hard to keep up with it all. But there were some reports last week that in places like where the Kurds are in northern Iraq, like Erbil, is a relatively safe place. And there were reports that the CIA was arming some folks up there to help them fight back. But there was also reports that the Iranians were arming some of their like Shia militia groups up there to also help fight back against the US and US targets. Well, they started bombing like specific floors of hotels. And a lot of people were questioning, how did they get the intelligence of who was in these hotels? And these hotels are where a lot of the like CIA operatives, contractors, people like that had evacuated to. How would they know? Where are they getting this information? Well, looks like it's coming from Russia. Officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity, because clearly this is very sensitive, said that there's no indication that Russia is directing Iran on how to use this information. But still, the disclosure marks the first sign that Moscow may be getting involved in the war that the United States and Israel launched in Iran last week. As the two countries continue bombing campaigns and Iran fires retaliatory attacks against American forces and regional allies in the Persian Gulf. They're also talking about targeting warships, aircraft, and military assets in the region. Now, there's only a handful of countries that have these capabilities. Russia's one, and so is China. So don't sleep on China, and don't be surprised if we start hearing about China's hands in this thing too. Now, because that they have relationships, right? You have also other proxies in the region, Iranian proxies. You've got the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah, Hamas. They're all being activated. And we also know that there are reports that an intelligence report about attacks on our homeland potentially, or sleeper cells or whomever being activated as a way to retaliate against us. This intelligence report has been suppressed because they don't want the American people to know. So not only has Donald Trump made life more expensive, he's also made it more dangerous. What a shock. Here's what Caroline Levitt had to say about all this over the weekend on our favorite state-run television channel, Fox News.
I wanted to start you off this afternoon because we have confirmed reports from U.S. officials that Russia is providing intelligence to Iran to help it target U.S. assets in the region. I'm sure this is something that does not please the president whatsoever. Has he spoken to Putin about it?
Well, look, I'll leave that to the president to answer himself. But what I will tell you, John, we don't comment on intelligence reports that are leaked to the press. Whether or not this happened, frankly, it does not really matter.
Yeah, okay. All right, honey. I mean, she's the chief liar and propagandist of this administration, so we don't believe anything she says. Trump also was asked over the weekend about boots on the ground, because that's a real concern. They keep trying to say, well, one of the 25 revolving reasons for why we're involved in this conflict, one of them was regime change. Trump said that, but then, of course, his people were like, no, it's not regime change. And then they're like, yes, it is regime change. We're in a war. No, we're not in a war, whatever. But you can't have regime change without boots on the ground. We all know this. We've learned this lesson, unfortunately, the hard way in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we didn't actually do a great job of it. So Trump is asked again by Peter Doocy at Fox News, like, are we going to put, boots on the ground? Take a look.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander in chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Sorry, that was Caroline Levitt, not Trump. But again, that's the talking point coming out of the administration, because Pete Hegseth went on 60 Minutes last night and said something similar. Like, they're trying to act like, oh, well, this is some six-dimensional chess that he's playing. We're not going to show our hand and blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe. But this clown show, it's a disaster. Again, of course. Well, speaking of regime change, has it really been regime change? We're doing all of this for what? For the oil, for the money, to stabilize the region, yet Arab states are getting bombed, Israel's getting bombed, the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, gas prices are up, global markets are shaken. all of this was what, but we're supposed to be happy. This is supposed to be great. We got rid of the Ayatollah, who's, and the murderous mullahs who have been running the country for 47 years. And the people of Iran, you guys take over now. Well, that's not how any of this works. Because Iran has a succession plan. And they're very smart and wily opponents, okay? They're a culture that's been around for thousands of years. You think they didn't have a backup plan? You think they didn't expect that, okay, maybe this crazy guy might actually bomb us, especially after last June? Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. We've decimated their nuclear program. They can't get a nuclear weapon. Okay, no one disagrees with that. But you told us last June that the reason why you bombed Iran was to decimate their nuclear program, and it was supposed to be done. It's it. We used the bunker busters. It's done. It's over. But that was bullshit. Now, if you remember the timing of when he bombed, right around when the Epstein files were heating up. What happened again? Shit was hitting the fan with the Epstein files again, and we're not really talking about them the way we were. There was a point of critical mass being reached again before we went into this whole thing. And now we're not talking about it, but we're going to talk Epstein in a second. But they have a succession plan. Yes, they took out a bunch of people down the ladder, but guess who they didn't get? They didn't get the Ayatollah's son, who is the natural successor. You think his son is some paragon of democracy? No, he's not. He's his father's freaking son. Now, Iran's Assembly of Experts, that's the clerical body responsible for choosing their top leader, selected the 56-year-old cleric as the third supreme leader of the Islamic Republic. Mojtaba Khamenei is widely seen as a hardline figure with close ties to the Revolutionary Guard, which is leading Iran's retaliatory campaign. So, in other words, you cut the head off the snake and a new head popped up. What's the point then? So they're going to take him out too, I guess? And then what? Now, he's long been viewed as the possible successor, okay? Now, according to this report, it says that he lacks the religious credentials that his father had, which was the oh wait, no, that's the Shah. Sorry. That's the Shah. That was deposed in 1979. He was run out, and that's when the mullahs came in. His son, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, doesn't have the same religious credentials as his father had, and he's been living in the U.S., I believe, for years. So that's who they think is going to come up on the opposition side. I'm not so sure about it. I mean, he's kind of been like, the descendant of the old Shah. Maybe he'll come in, but we are many, 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 many layers before we can get to that, because there is no real unified opposition on that side. It's a problem. And the Revolutionary Guard is still in charge. They have all the weapons. The secret police over there, they've got all the weapons. They just killed almost 40,000 of their own civilians last month in the uprising. So, we're a far cry away from regime change that's supposed to make this whole debacle worth it. So, here we go on day 10 with no end in sight. I don't know what victory looks like. And apparently neither does the Trump administration, which is never a good combination. All right, Epstein update today. I didn't even realize this had happened. But besides last week, the missing files about one of the witnesses who claimed that she had been sexually assaulted by Trump when she was a minor, some of that material coming up. There's some newly surfaced FBI interview reports that are raising questions about the death of Epstein in 2019 when he was in federal custody. Now, I know for a long time people thought that anybody questioning whether he was killed or whether it was suicide was just some crazy conspiracy theory. But I got to tell you, I'm not a conspiracy theory person, but knowing what we know now, I don't know. It's suspicious. It's suspicious. I don't put anything past anyone at this point now, especially after we've uncovered all of the Russian intelligence stuff, Mossad stuff, all the people involved. I don't know. But according to this Miami Herald report, there is an inmate at the Metropolitan Correction Center in New York. That's where Epstein was. He told investigators that he overheard guards discussing a possible cover-up on the morning that Epstein died on August 10th, 2019, inside the jail's special housing unit. This is a fancy name for segregation. Now, this inmate said that he woke up around 6:30 to officers shouting, "Breathe, breathe," before hearing one guard say, dudes. You killed that dude." He told the FBI a female officer replied that if Epstein was dead, they would cover it up and he would have an alibi, adding that the entire wing could hear the exchange. Now, afterward, inmates began saying, "Miss Noel killed Jeffrey." The inmate identified the guard as Tova Noel, one of two officers later charged with falsifying records to show that they made required rounds that night when they actually had not. The charges against Noel and another guard, Michael Thomas, were later dropped, though they were both fired. This inmate's account has not been substantiated, but it raises further questions about Epstein's death. The New York Medical Examiner and the Justice Department ruled it a suicide, while forensic pathologist Michael Baden, that's a famous guy that's been around a long time, who attended the autopsy for Epstein's estate, said the injuries appeared more consistent with strangulation than suicide. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's all freaking suspicious. It's just, I don't know. But there you have it. That's the update on that. All right. So before our final emotional support moment, some announcements. Please subscribe to Mary Substack if you have not, The Good in Us. And if you can, please become a paid subscriber, because if you really want to help support independent media, that's what fuels it. It's a little investment into what we all do. And as we see what legacy media is doing, independent media is more important now than ever. And if you can't become a paid subscriber, no problem. You can subscribe for free. That still helps too. So please check out Mary Trump's Good in Us Substack. And also, she's got cool merch. Check out Mary Trump Media merch. The redacted collection, there it is. That's to honor the Epstein victims. That obviously blatantly states the fact about this government covering things up. And it says, the Trump regime is lying to you. There's also one that says Donald J. Trump is in the Epstein files over 1 million times. And of course, there's some good protest posters. There's some t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. There's something there for everybody. We love good merch with a message. And then, of course, listen to Mary Trump's podcast daily on all the places, all the platforms where you listen to your podcasts. Check it out. If you can't listen live, you can download it and listen to it at your leisure. And speaking of merch and other good causes, like I said, I also have a Substack. It's called Uncompromised with Tara. And I have very cool merch too. I call it Merch with a Message. You can check out my merch shop. There's a link on my Uncompromised profile over there on Substack. This is one of my hats. It says Democracy Doesn't Defend Itself. I have all kinds of cool pro-democracy messages. Today's a good day to save democracy, fierce, fearless, and free, bold and unbothered. There's all kinds of cool slay all day. Sometimes I wear that hat, but there's some really good merch there for both men and women. There's mugs, there's hats, there's hoodies, there's t-shirts. So plus No Kings is coming up soon. So could be cool merch for you guys to check out over there. And then, of course, I am the CEO of the Seneca Project. We are women-led, and we put out ads and videos and hard-hitting stuff to hold these bastards accountable, to try to galvanize women. Particularly, we are in a midterm, so the more financial support we have, the more content we can put out. So senecaproject.us if you want to help support us. And Mary has been a huge supporter, and she's on our advisory board. So there are the announcements for the day. Let's take a couple questions, because I know that folks like to ask questions, and I am happy to answer a few before we leave each other today. What have we got, Lex? And thank you to everyone that has been joining. We see that some folks have gifted a Mary Trump media membership. Thank you, Dorothy. I don't have my glasses, so if you see me squinting, that's why. Susan Williams says they're not reporting the right numbers of deaths. Well, that's not a shock, unfortunately. Reggie McKenzie, not only that, Trump kids are investing in military contracts, making military weapons. Yes, in fact, they are. And Donald Trump Jr. also got invested in a company that got a $600 million defense contract. And also, by the way, he's on the board of Polymarket. Colleen from Canada, thanks for hosting, Tara. Thank you. We love our neighbors to the north. And I have a very cool Canadian hat that I got when we transited through Canada last year on our way to Morocco that I wear proudly. Kendra, USA, super sticker. Thank you for your support for Mary Trump Media. Broken, all broken. Lindsey Graham goes in the same bucket as Moscow Mitch. There need to be more treason trials than just for the executive branch. You know, I mean, there should be some kind of truth and reconciliation reckoning at the end of all of this. We got to make it there first, though. But Lindsey Graham is one of the worst. He's a barnacle in the ass of Trump, and I just can't stand him. Ghostly Air 59, Tara, thank you for everything you do, and thank you for always filling in for Mary and for spending time with us over here at Mary Trump Media. Oh, well, that's very nice of you, Ghostly. It is absolutely my pleasure to do it, and anything for Mary, she's the best. And you guys are a great, smart, well-informed audience, so it's the pleasure is mine. One more. All right. Trump ought to sell a Make Putin Rich Again hat to go with the Make Iran Great Again hat. Don't give him any ideas, Trump Reaper. Don't give him any more freaking ideas. All right. On that note, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Mary will be back. Thank you, guys. And we will leave you with this lovely emotional support moment because we all need a little zen. Have a good day, guys.